So I hand over to Irene to start her talk.
Hello, everyone. I'm really glad to be here today. As my sister introduced me earlier on, my name is Irene Iwerebon. I reside in Chicago, Illinois. I am a registered nurse, and I also have a certification in public health humanitarian crisis, which is called PHHC. I also specialize in Alzheimer's and dementias, which unfortunately affects more women than men, and we're finding more younger women these days with Alzheimer's. Um, so, why did I pick my profession? Like I said, I am a registered nurse, and the reason I picked this profession is because I realized that as I got older, I had the I have a zeal for people, and also not just to help people, but also I wanted to be able to create awareness for a lot of people to know about their health state. So, a little background about myself. Prior to going to the medical profession, I was an accountant. So, I do have an accounting degree. However, it wasn't my passion. Creating awareness for people in the medical field is something that I do now. So, having said that, today's topic is a really good one. It's called Strong Bones, Strong Mind. And you may or may not have heard of the word called ergonomics. Ergonomics is something that we learn and we use every single day. And many people are not aware how to use ergonomics, not just in the workforce, but in your day-to-day living. So the topic today is ergonomics, strong bones, strong mind, and strong body. Ergonomics is fitting the job to the person. So whatever you're doing is a way of fitting the job to the person. Also, I will talk about osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is something that affects a lot of people, and my topic is about reducing your risk factors, how to prevent injury, and ways to protect yourself. And that is going to be my topic for today. As women, we move around a lot. We move from one place to the other. We're always busy doing one thing or the other. So take a few seconds right now. Just think about what you have done as a woman today. For example, a few of you may have gone to the grocery store. You may have, gone driving somewhere, taking your child or others for a program, taking care of the kids at home, carrying them, doing some house chores, cooking, cleaning, using your cell phone, using your computer, writing. The thing is, we're always moving. As women, we're always doing one thing or another, going to one place or another. But one thing to look out for, when there is a mismatch between the physical requirement of whatever you're doing and your physical capability, injury will occur. There will be injury. So, what do we have to do about this? It simply means you have to make sure that whatever you're doing fits your body, and that way you prevent injury. A simple definition of ergonomics is the study of people's efficiency in their working environment. Now,
Mm.
why is this important? This is very important because when you're doing a job and your body is
Mm.
stressed by an awkward posture or position, by extreme temperature when it's too hot or too cold, by repetitive movements doing the same thing over and over again, it affects what they call your musculoskeletal system. That means your wrist,
Yes.
your elbow, your hands. It affects a whole lot of things that people don't think about. And that is called your musculoskeletal system. Now, what am I talking about? The MDS, as it's also called, musculoskeletal system, includes things like fractures. Fractures, either fracturing your wrist, your fingers. It includes ligament sprains and tears. It includes tensions like neck sprain. I mean, people sometimes hold their phone to their neck when doing some work. It includes neck sprain. It includes muscle tender sprain. It includes what they call carpal tunnel sprain. That is when you've used your wrist for so many things, like on the computer, and after a while it gets very stiff. Even to lift something becomes extremely painful. The ways to avoid all this, I'm going to talk about right now. So the goal is this: in whatever you do, in every interaction you have to make sure your body is interacting efficiently with anything you're using, be it something in the house or in your office. Ergonomics is divided into three areas. We have the physical, the cognitive, and the organizational. However, today we are going to focus on only the physical and the cognitive. The reason I pick both is because physical, we're always doing things, and that's important. Physical ergonomics applies to the design of doing anything that involves movement and people, including your workspace, including sports, including exercise, including your leisure time, even how you sit down and relax. Sit down slouched could be a problem. That's why I like to sit upright. The way you sit down, your health, your day-to-day living, anything that involves movement, even the way you sleep goes under physical ergonomics. Physical ergonomics is about the human body's response to the environment in any way. So sometimes we feel, oh, you know what, I'm not going to stretch and get some from the cupboard. But the way you stretch and you tilt and you turn, you're already hurting yourself and you may not feel it now. However, over time, doing the same thing over and over again, over time will lead to injury, will lead to breakdown, will lead to tears, will lead to sprain, and in the end, it affects the entire physique of a woman. The other concern we have as women is the way we do a lot of things. The one thing we all know that a woman's anatomy is very different from that of a man. One thing we do as women is we pride ourselves as multitaskers. You'll hear people say, oh, I'm a woman. I can multitask. I can get things done. What does that mean? Okay, example, you're cooking. The same time, I'll use this. This is your phone. You have your phone here. You're cooking, you're talking, you're doing something else, you're stretching. All these things, we call them multitasking. We're quite capable. But in the long run, it simply tears the body down. The way you walk, the way you bend, the way you twist, the way you turn, all these things matter. Your spine is what holds your body up. And if you don't protect yourself and your movement, you will have a breakdown. And over time, over years, there'll be something called curvature of the spine that occurs with a lot of women. That simply means walking in a kind of bent way and not upright. Another thing we concern ourselves with is the way we pick up our children. For all of you that have young children, sometimes the way we pick up children matters. It could lead to a strain that is bending with the spine and not from the waist. To pick things up, we have to stoop. It also includes the way we do laundry. Even using the laundry machine, if you do the wrong way, guess what? It's going to affect you eventually. Little things like kneeling down. Some of us kneel down when we pray. Kneeling down with a wrong posture over time will affect the spine, because imagine this: you pray every day. Most of us kneel down when we pray. Kneeling down slouching, or kneeling down stooping, or moving one way or the other, over time it will affect your body. Your chair. Sitting down, the ideal way for a woman to sit down, quite frankly, is upright with your legs slightly elevated. So if you have a small stool or something in the house to elevate your leg, that is the best way to sit. You can't sit upright, yes, but when we cross our legs, which a lot of us tend to do a lot of, don't do this for too long. Cross your legs, maybe 10, 15 minutes maximum, and then put it down. Because wear and tear happens on the ligament, and it all builds. Over time, it's all building up. Things that we take for granted. over time it builds up. So if you sit down, your legs are crossed. Don't stay like this for, oh, I just want to stay all the time. Put it down and then switch. A lot of us tend to use only one side of our body. And it happens if you're right-handed, more than likely you will find it easier to cross your right leg. But what I say is alternate. So cross your right leg and then alternate, cross your leg. But for both of them, no more than 10 minutes, maybe maximum 15 minutes at a time, no more than that. Otherwise, it's going to lead to wear and tear. Now, another problem is sitting for too long with or without a backrest. Sometimes you may feel, oh, I just want to rest my back. However, not every time you sit do you need a backrest. Sometimes your spine gets stronger when you sit down without a backrest. You have to have a way of holding yourself upright. You hold yourself upright when you sit, and that has, a lot of good for your back. Sometimes we sit with the backrest, which is good. However, do not sit down for more than 30 minutes at a time with or without a backrest. You have to alternate that. But the biggest area where most women are guilty is the neck. And think about this. Your spine doesn't start here. Your spine actually starts from the base of your neck. And we have 33 vertebrae. So it starts here and goes all the way down to your tailbone. So if you have the habit of holding your phone like this a lot, over time, you're curving your spine. Whether you're doing it this way or that way, the bottom line is this: don't do it. And that guilty thing women do is we eat on the go. We're so busy doing a whole lot of things that we stand up to eat. You're cooking, you're rushing, kids have go somewhere, like, you know what, let me just eat this quickly. Guess what? Sometimes think about the way you're standing, your posture, you're bending. You want to eat something, so you bend, you're eating, you're eating, you're eating, you're eating. Think about this hand like this. You're either cooking or doing something else. This hand is eating, you're twisting, you're awkward, you're turning, you're bending. All these things over time will affect your spine, will affect your bones, will affect your ligaments, and you're not effectively and efficiently using your body. So what do I say, ladies? I say it is time to end what I call the superwoman syndrome. I was speaking with one of my sisters yesterday with 5 girls and just discussing my topic with her. She was like, oh my God, that is the superwoman syndrome. And I said, yes, that is the superwoman syndrome, because many of us feel if we cannot do this, then we are not women. If we cannot multitask, or we are the children bearers, we're doing things around the house, we feel, oh, if I can't do this, then what good am I? Remember one thing: if you cannot do it, you are not a failure. As women, we have to end the superwoman syndrome. It is what is killing us. It is what is making us less efficient, and it is what is making us age a whole lot faster. The superwoman syndrome should end. We are not superwomen, we're human and we're women. Simply meaning you cannot multitask and multitask efficiently without there being a payback. You're going to pay one way or the other. Either you pay now when you make mistakes, or you pay later when your body starts to tear down. So multitasking needs to stop. You face one thing at a time, get it done, move to the next thing. The other thing I was going to mention about this is sprains and injuries. Many times, yes, we use one hand to write. Either we're left-handed or we're right-handed. Nothing wrong with that. But sometimes you have to play it up a bit. Just play it up a bit. We use one hand all the time. So the wear and tear on that hand builds up over time. We don't realize it, but it's happening. There will be wear and tear on that side. So sometimes you might be slower, but use the other hand. Use your second hand. If you're right-handed, sometimes use your left hand to get things done. If you're left-handed, sometimes use your right hand to get things done. Nothing wrong with that. We may feel, oh, it's impossible, I cannot use my right hand, or I can't use my left hand, but You will not know until you start. Use your right hand, use your left hand. It does not matter. Just do it slowly. If you're cooking, sometimes just say, you know what? I'm always cooking. I'm always making soup and stirring soup with my right hand. Today, I'll go slowly with my left. So start that movement with your left hand. Get a balance in your system. It may seem like, oh, I can't, but try it. Give it a try. The best way to avoid injury is this: one task at a time. If you're cooking, cook. If you're on the phone, be on the phone. If you're taking care of your children, do that. If you're writing, do that. You'll find out that it may seem to a lot of people that multitasking means you get a lot of things done faster. But that's not true. Multitasking makes you less efficient. When you do one thing at a time, it makes you more efficient. Also, it helps with the cognitive, which I'm going to discuss next. It helps the cognition, it helps you focus, and it helps you be more efficient in that task. The other thing I'll mention is this: before you move on to the next task, complete one. Complete one task before you move on to the next. You might think, oh, I can start this now. Okay, I've got this to do, but no. When you start something, do it, finish it. You'll find out that once that is done and done well, then you can focus on the next thing, do it and do it well. One task at a time before you move to the next one. Avoid wear and tear on your body, which is something I already discussed. Bending, twisting, repetitive movement, same hand going back and forth. Move it. Use the next hand. Leg, the next one. If you cross your leg with the right first, use the left next time. Also, you're going to find that even when you're walking, and this I'll discuss with osteoporosis for balance. When you walk and you find out that you always start with your left forward, be conscious of that and start with your right. It alternates the balance in your hip, in your waist, and in your joints. So it might seem like, oh, all these things are so silly and so stupid, but over time, you will see the effect and how it affects your body. And the biggest thing, ladies, I'll say is do not hold your phone to your neck. If you can, get a phone, what's it called? The one with the strings. What's it called again? A pod for your phone. Get a pod, either the string pod or the earbud. Use that. Or better still, put your phone on speaker. But let the days of doing house chores or going to work or being in the car or whatever you're doing, the days of putting your phone to your neck and moving around, let that end. Because as you get older, you're going to find, you're going to have some more pain and you won't even know where it's coming from. But it's that repetitive movement of putting your phone to your neck that has built up over time that would affect your neck, affect your spine, affects your bones, affects your ligaments. It's small, but it builds up. And so that is what I'm going to say. Now, the next topic is about cognitive ergonomics. This affects everyone. Cognitive ergonomics. Cognitive ergonomics is something that affects our mental processes, such as our perception, our memory, our motor response, how quickly we respond to things, and how we interact with other people in a whole. A lot of people don't realize this. Alzheimer's dementia affects more women than men. More women. The reason is cognitive ergonomics. A lot of women are affected because of a mental state of mind, be it after we're going to menopause and we're not prepared for it, which I'll discuss a little bit as we talk some more. I'm not saying, and please don't misunderstand me, I am not saying that Alzheimer's is caused by lack of good cognition. No. Alzheimer's affects more women than men. And cognitive ergonomics is a way to help us as we get older address certain issues like a mental state, decision making, relationship with equipment that we work with, human reliability, and work stress. These are areas that can help us as we get older deal with certain issues. And so I'll discuss cognitive economics. The 5 areas, because there are many areas that we can talk about. The 5 areas I'm going to talk on are: 1, mental workload; 2, decision making; 3, human and equipment interaction; 4, human reliability; and 5, work stress. These are all part of cognitive economics we're going to discuss. There's a lot more to discuss, but I picked this 5 because it affects us and it can be used in our day-to-day life. So let's start with the first one, mental workload. For mental workload, I'm going to give you my voice. Oh, can you hear me better? Am I still low? Okay, I'll raise my voice. I'm sorry. For cognitive ergonomics, I will start with mental workload. I'll give you a scenario for mental workload. Imagine you're driving to work. You're in your car. No driver. You're driving yourself to work. You're running late to work. There's a lot of traffic. It is raining. You have your children in the back seat. They're fighting. Your cell phone is ringing off the hook. And guess what? Your cell phone has dropped. Just imagine that chaos. That mental workload is like everything happening at once. What are the chances of getting into an accident? The chances are very high if you are not balanced. So we cannot give a complete view of how someone is reacting to a task. And this makes it difficult to measure mental workload. However, statistics will show that an increase in mental workload leads to at least a 25% increase in heart rate, in blood pressure, in frustration, in anxiety, and in other limiting factors. So just imagine when you have an increase in your workload and the mental, just everything, just like noise everywhere, it can lead to a heart attack, period. At work, people feel, oh, people get heart attacks, different times of the day, due to stress, due to stress, due to blood pressure. People might feel that, but that is not really what causes heart attack. Heart attack is a buildup of mental workload that can happen at any time. That is why it's extremely important as women to know our limitations. When it comes to cognition, know your limitations. Don't overwhelm yourself because mental workload can lead to a heart attack. The other area of cognitive ergonomics I'm going to talk about is decision making. When someone is stressed out, going through crisis, going through a lot of frustration, it's very difficult to make the right decision. Chronic stress rearranges your wiring in your brain. It just changes everything. Chronic stress, I'll explain, is stress over at least 3 months or more. Some say 6 months. I even start with 3. There's acute stress, which can happen like in a week. Maybe something happens at home, you're stressed, but within a week it's gone. Chronic stress is something that happens over time and builds up and builds up and builds up, is not dealt with, and then it becomes chronic after 3 months. It changes the wiring of your brain. One result of chronic stress is poor decision making. And many studies have shown that humans are more likely to make poor decisions when subjected to unrelieved stress. We may not know we have stress, but when patterns start changing, where you cannot think right, where someone asks you a question, you're like, oh, I'm coming, you're frazzled, and you're overwhelmed. That right there is called chronic stress. And many women suffer from chronic stress because we're dealing with spouses, we're dealing with children, we're dealing with family members, we're dealing with other things at work. We're the ones going to the market to buy things. I mean, there's just so much, and all this build up just starts building, and boom, decisions start going. The rewiring your brain is now like, you know what? You can't make the right decision, like overwhelmed. Should I do this? Should I do that? And in the end, it all comes down to cognitive ergonomics stress. The next topic is human and equipment interaction. Now, people talk about this as it relates to the office. I talk about this as it relates to home, because at home we use a lot of equipment, be it, the equipment we use to grind peppers and everything to make food, be it the coffee machine, be it just laundry. Everything is equipment. So people say, oh, when you're at work, yeah, that is part of it. But here's what I talk about with women. Some of us wear different hats. We go to work, we come home, we take care of the kids. At the same time, we sometimes bring our work home. And then guess what? We have a laptop. We're tired. It's on the bed. We sit, we put the laptop down, we're like this, hunched, doing the work. You have no idea what that does to the back and the body. And I'm sure a lot of you, I know, because I've been guilty of that. I would not say I've not done. I've done that where I'm so busy. I'm like, you know what? I just want to rest. My resting was doing damage to my body. I was better off sitting on the table upright and doing my work on the computer than feeling I just want to be in my bed. So I pop up pillows, I slouch, I'm doing my work. I'm like, I can get it done. But that is affecting the body, and we're not using the equipment to suit the body. Remember, we have to fit everything to suit us, not us to suit it. So whatever we're using, we come first, not the equipment. So examples of poor health is that, examples of this part of human and equipment is that, one, wear and tear continues. We don't see it. We sometimes do not see wear and tear, but it's there, it's happening. Joints, bones moving, breaking, things are happening. We don't see it physically, but trust me, it is there. So that's an area we have to watch. The next area to look at is human reliability. What does that mean, human reliability? It's also known as human performance, and it can affect many factors as we age and our state of mind, especially as we age. When I was 20, I could do a lot more than what I'm doing right now, and I'm sure most of you could. I was able to run marathons and do a lot of things. Now, I can do certain things, but I'm not as agile and quick on my feet. I get it done, but not the same. I promise you, aging will happen to everyone, but the question is, do you want to age well or age your age? And I use the word age your age because really, age is just a number, and we don't have to age our age if we're doing things right. You don't have to be 70 and age 70. Your age can say 70, chronological age can be 70, but it can be aging 50, 40s. So do you want to age your age or just age right? That's something to ask yourself about. So here are the things to think about. Your state of mind, your physical health, your attitude, your emotions, your propensity to make mistakes, your errors, cognition, all these things can happen. And so, how reliable are you as a human being? Yes, there'll be human error. But when you hear someone say, oh, I'm only human, that's a limitation right there. That word, I'm only human, is simply a limiting factor. You're limiting yourself. So rather than saying I'm only human, simply say, you know what, I guess I'm not as reliable as I was. Let me look and find out what areas do I need to change. It could be your emotions. Say, you know what, okay, wait a second. I know I'm in my 40s and my 50s, I'm going through menopause. What should I do? It could be your diet, exercise, and many other things which I'm going to talk on with osteoporosis. But these are things you should concern yourself with. When you start making mistakes, where you normally do not make mistakes, you need to be aware that the questions you have to ask yourself, hold on, what is going on here? Hold on, Why am I making silly mistakes that I normally should not? Don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. The other area is work stress. Work stress happens all the time. Work stress can be at home, it can be at work, anywhere. Work stress happens a lot of people. What is work stress? There's physical work stress, there's emotional work stress. And these are all a response to stressors. Like, I have a tight deadline. Oh my gosh, that is stressful. But what you should always do as a woman is think, if I start having my stressors take control of my life, guess what? I'm going to get limited. I'm going to rush. I'm going to make mistakes. So when you feel yourself under stress, especially at work, and I'm going to use the workplace right now because I'm sure a lot of us do go to work, you have to take a step back. What I say is this: when the stress comes, the slow comes. So stress and slow, the S and the S. When you feel stress, you have to now slow down. Because if you try to rush to overcome that stress, you will make mistakes. You're going to walk too fast. You're going to affect your body. You're going to affect your heart rate, everything else. So you need to definitely hold it down. When the stress comes, the slow should come. I call it again the S and the S. So you're trying to make a quarter. You have a deadline. You learn a new task or new procedure. You feel stressed. You don't have enough voice at home. You feel stressed. You don't have enough voice at your workplace. You feel stressed. You don't have enough voice with a family. You feel stressed. All these things that stress us. When the stress comes, the slow should come. As women, we have to learn to say, you know what? Okay, these things are happening. I'm going to slow down because ultimately it will affect my health. So what does that mean? You put yourself first, not the stress. What we do is we tend to put the stress first. When you put the stress over the self, the stressors come, the tear down comes. That is the body tear down, be it the physical or internal comes. So when the stress comes, the self should come and the slow should come. Meaning when the stress comes, you put yourself first and then you slow it down. That means you reduce the activities that can lead to increased musculoskeletal disorders. Because imagine you have a deadline at work and you're going really fast and I've got to get this done. You're typing really fast. All that wear and tear on your wrist will happen. It will happen because you're using your hand, your body awkward, you're trying to rush. You got to stop, slow it down and think self and stop. Stress, self, stop. Stress, self, slow. Stop, slow it down myself first. That is what you need to do. And that way, over time, once you start that habit of putting yourself slow and stop over your stress, you're going to find out over time you have developed a very good habit and stressors will no longer be stressors in your life. You'll know, you know what? I can handle this. I can take it easy. It sounds easy, right? It is. People think, oh no, is it easy for you? But no, not just that, it is easy and it can be done. So the next thing I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to get here now so I don't miss anything. All right. Okay. All right. The next thing, I'm just trying to get here. All right. Is a summary before I go into osteoporosis. I want you to give a summary of what we talked about today and something to think about. And don't think about this in terms of your job. Think about in terms of yourself. This is now for yourself as a woman. 1, excessive workload. What do I do to reduce my excessive workload so I don't get overwhelmed? 2, work and home. How do I balance my work and my home? How do I balance things so that in the long run, I'm not the one affected at the same time efficient? 3, feeling overwhelmed by the workload, including home. You cannot switch off the work. You come home and you have your work with you. You can't switch it off. How do I balance that? You have to switch off. The one thing I tell people is this: even if you own your business or you work for someone, if something happens to you, they would always find someone else. I've been in situations where coworkers have been hurt on the job. The next day, there was someone else to do the work. The next day. Meanwhile, they were laid home with spine injury, sprains for months. The company found someone else, and it will happen. So again, stress, think of self, think of stop, think of slow. They will find someone else. Think of yourself. The next thing is conflicts at home. Wherever there's a conflict, it comes down to stress. So always put yourself first. The next thing is the self, either verbal abuse. What am I saying verbal abuse? Women would tend to abuse ourselves verbally and physically. It sounds strange, but it's true. We abuse ourselves verbally by putting too much on ourselves and multitasking and tell ourselves, oh, you can do it, you can do it. That's verbal abuse. We abuse ourselves physically by doing too many things at once and said, well, who else would do it? So I'm just the mother. That right there is physical abuse as well. So try not to physically or verbally abuse yourself. The next thing is frequently lifting things, bending from your spine rather than stooping down and bending from the waist. Awkward positioning, stretching to get things, holding something else in hand, having your phone here, all that, repetitive movements, all these things need to stop. It's time to be conscious, be aware of them when you're doing them. The next thing is performing walk with a deviated bent waist. Cooking, let me just cook it out as I'm eating, cooking. All that has to stop. Lifting, sitting down in your bed without a backrest with your computer slouching, that is physical abuse. It is physical abuse of self. The next thing is sitting down for long periods of time without, even if you cannot stretch, like it tells on the plane, you can just move your leg a little bit. Don't just sit and say, and just like watching TV. Advise people, when you watch TV, fine, but when you're watching TV, sometimes even hold your leg up. Count 30 seconds, put it down. Hold the second leg up, count 30 seconds, put it down. All these things affect the body, your movement. Sit down in a position, turn this way, and then the other way. Don't just sit in one position for hours on end. 30 minutes, 1 hour, it has to stop. Stretch your leg out, lift your leg, turn, move your body. Body movements always help. And guess what? The body movements you have not only help with your bones and your structure, it also helps with your bowel movement. Believe me, when you move around, it helps your bowel movement. And so that's all for ergonomics now. The next topic is another very important one. And this topic is about osteoporosis. A lot of people are not familiar with osteoporosis, and I'm going to talk about that in detail. Just give me 1 second here. Let me adjust a little bit because it's something that we all have to know about, and many women are not aware or even know what it means. So, bone health and osteoporosis. My topic is how to prevent injury and ways you can protect yourself. One thing to always remember, and this might seem funny to a few of you, I always say this about osteoporosis. You are as old as you feel, and you are never too old to make changes and reduce your risk factors. So think about it. You are as old as you feel. You're never too old to change. Never. 60, 70, 80, never too old to change. Osteoporosis. Osteo refers to porous bones. Porous simply means holes in the bones. Holes in the bones. As we age, and everyone will get older, we will all age, the natural progression called osteopenia occurs. Everyone goes through osteopenia. This simply means that as we age, our bone density decreases. It's natural. There's nothing wrong with it. The older you get, your bone density starts to decrease. Nothing wrong with that. This usually happens around the age of 40 for most of us. Some people, it actually happens when they're younger, but the average age for decreased bone density is in your 40s. I'll discuss ways you can protect yourself and prevent a rapid decline, which leads to osteoporosis. When bone loss happens, the pores in the bone get bigger. They get brittle, they get big, and they break easily. That is what causes osteoporosis. Brittle, and they break fast. And so it's like, what happened? Like someone, imagine this: two people can have a fall. One person will have broken bones, the other will not. Why? And they might be the same age. So it's like, why this one and why not that one? Okay. According to the National Osteoporosis Foundation of the United States, in every 2 women, one will break a bone. One. Think about it. The US has about 10 million women. So imagine this. One in every 2. We're looking at, my goodness, almost 80% of the women, one in every 2 will break a bone. This is due to osteoporosis. But with men, it's a little better for men. Guess what? For men, it's 1 in every 4. So think about it. We are the ones carrying all the problems. Be it Alzheimer's is women first. Be it breaking bone is women first. So we have to protect ourselves. We can't let the statistics continue. 1 in every 2 will break a bone. That's serious. So what are the risk factors of osteoporosis? Now we know what it is. What are the risk factors? Risk factors. Smoking. A big risk factor to osteoporosis is smoking. Another risk factor is alcohol. I'm not saying the occasional wine is bad, but having more than 2 alcoholic drinks a day puts a woman at risk for osteoporosis. We're not like men. Men and women are built equally. A man can have more drinks than we do and nothing. We can have the same amount and then we're having problems later on. So alcohol intake. Wine, there's nothing wrong with wine. As a matter of fact, red wine, statistics show, actually help the immune system. But I'm not discussing that today. Bottom line, cut back on alcohol. Now, a few of us are on different medications. So medications that cause or can lead to osteoporosis or put you at risk include steroids. Some went on steroids for maybe asthma or other problems. Seizure medications, estrogen medications. As we know, people react different to menopause. Some people, it's so bad for them, they put on estrogen medication. But guess what? One medication is another problem. So those on estrogen medication, over time, at risk for osteoporosis. PPIs are things for acid reflux, for GERD, all those medications, and also antidepressants. These medications put women and people at risk for osteoporosis. Now, if a woman has had a past fracture, either a finger broke, it was fixed, or the knee, or elbow, or deltoid, shoulder muscles, any kind of bone fracture.
Can I match the number, please?
Puts a woman at
Give
risk
the same thing
for
today.
osteoporosis. Another problem is medical conditions. Medical conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis, what they call celiac disease, which is an inflammatory disease, can cause osteoporosis. Another one called Crohn's disease can also cause osteoporosis. Low levels of vitamin D and calcium, as well as nutritional deficiencies, put women at risk for osteoporosis. So, having said all this, and we now know the risk factors, the next question is this. If we know the risk factors, how do we protect ourselves? The first thing to do is this. If you smoke, quit. If you're around smoke, quit. Secondhand smoke is just as bad as smoking. People who cook in open fire, at risk. I remember in 2015, I was in Guatemala for a medical outreach. And the community we visited to perform a screening, I was alarmed that at least 1 in every 4 women had an oxygen saturation of a person that smokes. However, I was told these women don't smoke. Only to find out that a lot of them cook outdoors and exposed to smoke. And over time, secondhand smoke affected them. At that time, I did not put two and two together. I was always like, you know what? If people smoke or around smokers, yes. But just being in that environment causes people to be affected. Drink in moderation. Drink in moderation is another problem. When people drink and don't drink in moderation, it affects them as well. So if you know anyone that drinks or you drink, moderation is key. The next thing is, if you're 65 years and over, you need to get screened for osteoporosis. Must get screened for osteoporosis. And there's also something called a Dexter bone scan, which is like a bone density scan that tells you what your risk factors are. So what do you do if you think, oh, you know what, I live I'm at risk. How do I protect myself? Before you're 65, things to do. Anyone who is 50 and over should have supplements of calcium in the diet and supplements of vitamin D. Give you an example. A supplement of calcium needed should be about 1,200 milligrams for anyone over 50. And for someone who is under 50, you need at least 1,000 milligrams of calcium. Do you know what that comes down to? It comes down to drinking at least 4 8-ounce glasses of milk and eating about 6 cups of yogurt every day. Who can do that? People have asked me, okay, I go out in the sun. People say the sun has vitamin D. If I'm out in the sun, why do I need a supplement? The human body cannot absorb enough vitamin D that we need. We do need supplements, period. You can get your supplement either from D by itself or a multivitamin. But I do recommend every woman should have vitamin D and calcium in your diet. Yes, it helps you eat your fruits and your vegetables, but you cannot get all you need from that. You have to eat a whole lot to get the nutrition you need. So I recommend everyone should have that. So if you're 50 or older, you need at least 1,200 milligrams of vitamin calcium every day. If you have 50 under, at least 1,000 milligrams a day. Now, people don't understand the difference in calciums. There's calcium, people always ask, which one should I take? There's calcium citrate. There's also calcium carbonate. Which is better for you? Calcium carbonate has got to be taken with food. And when you take calcium carbonate, you take that with food because of the acid in your stomach. It has to absorb it. Calcium citrate can be taken with or without food. So I always say, when you go to the pharmacy, don't just say, I'm going to grab calcium. Look at what it's saying. Read it. Because if you take in, for example, calcium carbonate without food, then it's useless. You have not really taken your calcium. So look at the label very carefully, and you're better off taking calcium citrate, which you can take with a meal. The other thing is vitamin D. Vitamin D, you need 800 to 2,000 units a day. Vitamin D, I'm holding a second. Thank you. Excuse me. All right, so sorry about that. So vitamin D, you need at least 800 to 1,000 units of D3 a day. If you're under 50, you can take 400 to 800 units a day. You cannot overdose, but I'm not saying go take 50 milligrams. Some people do need that though, because their system does not absorb a lot, so they need more. So what you might want to do is, when you go for an exam with a doctor, get a vitamin D test done. and know what your level is. When you know your level, you know what, I need more or I need less. But usually 800 units is just about right. 800 to 1,000 units of vitamin D a day is right. And many multivitamins do have that. When you get your multivitamins, it's really important that you look to see what is in it. Don't just say it's multivitamin, I'm going to take it. Some multivitamins only have 400 units. That is not giving you the coverage you need. You need something with 800 to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin D3. Okay, so having said that, I'm just going to move on to the next. All right. Another way to protect yourself is by strength training and weight bearing. People think strength training is just lifting weight, and weight bearing is just weight on your leg. No. I always talk about weight bearing a lot. Think about it. All right. If you stand up, you're a whole body. What is weight bearing? Weight bearing is having your leg impact with the ground. That means your entire weight is in your leg. Weight bearing is walking, moving around. Our body responds to the demand we place on it. So walking from one place to another is weight bearing. When people say the best exercise in the world is walking, it's true. Weight bearing is walking. You're carrying your weight. That's why some people, for weight bearing, they may have like an ankle weight on their leg to help with bearing. So in the gym sometimes, I see some women on the treadmill, they're exercising, but they now have weight on their leg to enhance their weight bearing exercise. Remember also, not all cardiovascular exercises are weight bearing. Not all of them. Weight bearing and strength training are very different. So don't confuse one with the other. Other thing I was going to mention is balance. Balance is very important. I would like all of you to try this exercise at home. I would like to try it here, but I'm not sure if you wish to see me. It's a very simple exercise I'll do at the end of this program. And I think you should all try that at home. At the end, I will do that exercise. Weight bearing is important because number one, and balance, it prevents fracture. It prevents fall. It prevents fractures and falls. If you have a good balance, the chance to have fallen will be very slim to none. And what gives good balance? You get good balance from your strength training and your weight bearing. Simple things to do. Every day, a simple 15-minute walk a day. Right there is weight bearing. 15 minutes. In a week, your goal is to have 115 minutes of weight bearing a week, minimum. If you can do more, yes. Over time, it will help your posture as you get older. This one will take you stand up erect and upright when you are in your 60s, 70s. It starts now. No matter what age you are, start now. That is weight bearing. What is strength training? You don't even have to lose weight. If you lose weight, that is fine. Strength training could be simple this. Get anything at home and just hold it. Count yourself. 1 minute down. Next, 1 minute down. You can do that anytime. You don't have to go to a gym. It's nice to go to a gym, but the truth is you don't have to go to a gym for strength training and weight bearing. There's a lot you can do. Intervals. So 15 minutes of walk every day, 150 minutes a week. Right there is your weight bearing exercise. Strength training, hold something up. See, if you hold this up, even with nothing, just put your hand up. Count 1 minute. You're going to already feel some kind of resistance and you want to put your hand down. But do that. 1 minute, this hand down. 1 minute. Set your timer. So you can do 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. You've done your weight for the day because you felt that pull in your hand and you put it down. Don't do strength training to hurt yourself. No. Simple things at home. Dancing. With or without a partner, put music on yourself and dance. Just say, you know what? I'm going to do my weight bearing strength training all at the same time. My legs will impact the ground, so I'm moving around, and I'm going to move my hands. I'm going to dance right there. Dancing right there takes care of both your weight bearing because your legs are impacting the ground, and it takes care also of your strength training. Tennis, if you love to play tennis, yes, takes care of both. Going up and down the stairs, you can say, you know what, today I want to exercise. You have stairs at home. Set your timer, 15 minutes up and down. Just do it. Up and down the stairs. You've done your beat for the day. 15 minutes, 20, you've done a beat for the day. Find a routine. Every woman should have a routine for her exercise. You stretch in the morning. You stretch your legs. When I wake up in the morning, do I get out of bed like up? No. When I wake up, I sit at the edge of my bed as soon as I wake up. The next thing I do is I put my hands up and I count. I count to 60. The next thing, before I get up, the next thing I do, I put my hand forward. I count to 60. And then I put my hand stretched out. I count to 60. Then I put one leg up, count to 60. And the leg up, count to 60. Usually before I stand up physically from my bed, I have stretched for a good 5 to 6 minutes. That is my routine. And guess what it prevents? A lot of women, as they get older, you will notice when they stand up, they feel like a waist pain, sciatica nerves. It's like, oh, my waist, my back. If you start stretching before you stand up from your bed, that will disappear, I assure you. I had one of my patients do that. She complains so much that when she stands up, it's like she feels like she's limping. She stands up from bed and she's limping. I'm like, why? It takes her body almost 10 minutes to catch up. Her body's still asleep. So I said, don't stand up. Spend 5 minutes stretching so your body will catch up with you. Your body has to catch up when you get up from bed because your body has in a resting state all night. You're sleeping. When you sit up, it's waking your body up. And nice and slow. You stretch, you're waking your body up. Don't be in a hurry. Women are always in a hurry. Oh, yeah, I've got to cook. Hey, breakfast. No. Wear and tear on your body will happen. So start a routine. Avoid curvature of the spine, which is what happens with women over time. Other simple exercises to do is the balance exercise, which I would like to show you. I'd like to show all of you about balance because balance is something I think is extremely critical. And I'm going to have our dear host right now to help me with that. And I'm going to show you something very simple you can practice at home to know about your balance. Okay. All right. Okay, so okay. All right. Okay, a little bit further. Let me move my computer. Move my computer away from me, excuse me. All right. So let me do a balance exercise for everyone. All right. 1 second. Just give me a minute there, okay? Okay. So we're going to do this together, everybody. I just want to set up right here. All right, so this is balance exercise. One thing you can do is stand, feet together, hands together. Now, put one leg up, any leg, just one leg up, still hands down. See if you can do that just to get your balance. Count like 30 seconds, as much as you can. Start with 30 seconds and work your way up to a minute. Down, together, straight. The next thing is next leg up. Gonna find that one leg is straight, you're gonna get shaky. Hands down, stand straight, against your balance. Okay? Count 30 seconds or 1 minute down. The next thing is this. Just push your leg forward and then stand straight. So let your leg, one be in front of, that's fine. One in front of the other like this. So you're gonna stand, you're gonna find yourself shaky, but keep practicing this. So push One foot in front of the other in a straight, like a straight line, with hands together at your side. This is for balance. Once you get control of your balance, chance of you falling down become very slim. So do this and then down. Then take the next leg and put it back. One in front of the other. One leg, for me, my dominant leg is my right leg. My left leg gets weak. Another way for balance is this. Now, this you might find difficult. Hands together in front and one leg out. So you're straight, hands together, one leg out, just like that. That means your weight bearing on one leg gets all the weight. So like that. Are you with me? Down, then the next leg. You now alternate. You weight on this leg, now weight on your left leg, and like that. It might seem difficult if you're used to it, but over time you will do it. These are just simple. This is just for strength training. Weight bearing. You just want to get that impact, that build up that strength. You might feel some pain in your waist, in your hip, but over time you're going to find it's a lot easier to do. Just try the balance. Also, another way to balance yourself, thank you, is let me show you one more thing to do. All right. If you can balance yourself well on your legs, you can also do this and turn it around. This is balance right here. This is balance. You can turn this way. Thank you. All right. So again, one leg down, up. Easier way to do it, up and turn. Like that. This is balance. And then alternate with the next leg. So try that over time. And you're going to find out that your balance will be improved. You'll find out that you will fall less. You'll find out that your movement will be more, you'll be more flexible in your movement. And of course, in everything you do, you are what you eat. Don't forget that. Don't ever underestimate the power of eating fruits, vegetables. And remember, as human beings, we really are 60% water. So your intake of water, I recommend at least 1 to 1.5 liters a day minimum. If you can drink more, yes, we are 60% water and we do need that. So always, always stay hydrated. Thank you all.
Wow. Wow. That was amazing. That was really, really amazing. I took down quite a number of notes. I hope you did as well. You know, thank you very much. Thank you. It's almost scary, you know, listening to some of the things you said, but I could identify with quite a number of things that you said. And I believe that there are people who listened and who also can identify with a number of things that you said. Thank you so much. I'm going to unmute all of us so that we can ask our questions. But before then, one of the things I love that you said, Irene, was you said, do you want to age your age? I don't know if we actually got that statement. Do you want to age your age? It's up to you. It's up to everybody to say, okay, I'm 30, I'm 40, I want to be that age. I want my body to be that. Or we make a decision to do something about our bodies and not necessarily age the age. Another thing I like that you said was when you spoke about reliability, that when we get to a point and we realize that, oh, I used to do this thing and people could depend on me, but now I'm having challenges and we need to go back again and check ourselves and see what we can do to reduce that lack of reliability. Then you spoke about abusing yourself verbally. I mean, I wouldn't have thought of that, you know, which is that I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. It means we're not allowing our minds. And as Christians, you know, we will always say, oh, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. But in the process, sometimes we actually do abuse our bodies. You spoke about physical abuse, that who else can do it syndrome. And interestingly, this morning I was listening to the story of when Jethro Jethro, yes, Moses' father-in-law went to see him, and he said, "You will wear yourself out. How can you be the only one judging everybody? You know, don't do that to yourself." You spoke about being conscious. I like that. You spoke about sitting on your bed. I mean, there are times I'm like, I need to enjoy myself tonight, and my go-to way is to take my laptop, sit on my bed, pop up my pillows, and it's true. It's not the most comfortable to do. So we are abusing ourselves. I really like the weight bearing thing you spoke about, which is walking. I'm very guilty. Um, and then finally, I think one of my takeaway points here is the daily stretch in bed. What I used to do before was when I get up, I sit a bit, but I never used to stretch because I put my stretch as something I do after I get out of bed. So I really like what you said about stretching in the bed before you even do anything else. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So thank you so much. So we have questions. Some of our sisters sent in questions ahead of time, and I would like Irene to address some of those questions, and then if we have some more time, we can address the other ones. Please, can you address those questions? Thank you.
Yes. So prior to starting, someone had, actually, I have two questions. I'm going to read the questions out. Someone had sent a couple of questions that I am going to mention. I'm just trying to find, okay, that's the other, just want to read the question out. Okay, so the first question that came in, hold on. Oh, what's your other page here? Is this one? Okay, this one, right. Okay, I found it. The first question that came in says, how does menopause affect 1, my mental health, 2, my physical health, 3, my ability to maintain a healthy weight for me or live a healthy lifestyle? So the first thing I did in response to this question is, what is menopause? Menopause is usually a natural change for the woman. However, it occurs earlier in people who smoke, in those who may undergo chemotherapy, and in those who may have undergone some kind of surgery, like removal of the ovary, occurs earlier. But normally, it's natural for most women. Menopause occurs because of this reason. There's a decrease in the ovary's production of the hormones, estrogen and progesterone, period. When our estrogen and progesterone goes down and decreases, that is when menopause occurs. Now we know what it means. The question says, how does menopause affect my mental health? First of all, as we approach middle age, often stress starts. There's anxiety, there's fear. That is when a lot of women and men start examining themselves. Oh, what have I accomplished? Where am I? You know, my body's changing. I'm getting a stomach. I'm getting a big butt. I mean, it's like, what is going on? A lot of things happen when we start reaching middle age. A lot of these attributions to middle age is physical. We see it. It's not like, you know, oh, the bone has broken in some kind of, so we see it. Sometimes the face widens, it broadens, the legs get wider, everything just changes. That happens, but it does not mean it has to happen that way. I'll explain what I mean. Yes, our estrogen level is decreasing, progesterone is decreasing. However, our habits will determine our mental health. If you're someone who has a habit of being a couch potato, menopause will hit you worse and can lead to depression. If you're someone who is active, overactive, like we talked about, excessive workload, menopause will lead to some kind of depression and not fulfillment. However, it comes down to balance. For mental health, it comes down to balance. Yes, menopause brings about things like hot flashes, sweating, dryness, thyroid imbalance. All these things will happen during menopause, but you don't have to suffer it mentally. One, hydration. With anything in life, I keep saying this, human beings were 60% water. We are water, not blood, water, 60% and more. Hydration gives you balance, period. Homeostasis, balance. Staying hydrated is not just, oh, I want to look good so I can go to the bathroom. And no, it's mental because our body is a lot of water. So, number one, you've got to stay very hydrated. That will affect your mental health. And then going back to everything we talked about, this is not just for even only menopause, for everything else. What we talked about, your mental state, your workload, being overwhelmed. If you start the habits right now, when that time comes, the good habits you have started will get you through. The next question is, how does menopause affect physical health? Goes back to the same thing. Physical health starts when you started, now, tomorrow, exercising, stretching. So whatever habit you start now, as you get older into that age where your progesterone and estrogen have been depleted, your good habits will see you through. It all comes down to that. There's no magic. There's no magic. It all comes down to what you start now will see you through when that time comes, especially if you're already in your 40s. It's never too late to start. It will affect things like your personality, affect your general well-being, even your attitude. And the good thing is sometimes people feel, oh, it's too hard. But I say, even if you cannot do 15 minutes, start with 5 minutes. 5 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow. Before you know it, you're doing it. So start the task small. Don't say, oh my God, I'm supposed to do 15 minutes every day. Oh my gosh, I can't do that. No. Start with 5 minutes and build up. That way, you are more likely to succeed. Another question was, how does menopause affect my ability to maintain a healthy weight for me and live a healthy lifestyle? The first thing I say is this. Look at the chart and know what your ideal weight is based on your height and your bone structure. Someone who weighs, for example, 160 pounds may look very different from someone who also weighs 160 pounds because of the bone structure. So find out, okay, example, I'm 5'2". What's my deal with 140? What do I do to get there? It could mean cutting back on some things I eat, making healthy food choices. Okay, I like to eat, example, eba, pounded yam, this. I might say, you know what, I'm going to start cutting back. But nothing just happens by itself. And I promise you, there is no magic. You just have to make that conscious decision through awareness that there's certain things you will have to cut back on. And once you're able to do that, you're going to be healthier. It's going to help with your emotions. It's going to help with your energy level as well. But again, you are what you eat. And what you eat affects your mental ability, affects your state of mind, affects your attitude, affects your emotion. If I wake up and the first thing I want to eat is tea with a lot of sugar, I promise you, before 12 noon, I'm already tired. I don't have that much energy. I'm not irritable. Imagine doing that over 1 year. People will not realize the attitude has changed, but they will not realize it is because of what they're eating. So bottom line is this. As you get older, it becomes even more important to make healthy food choices. I'm vegan by choice. I've been vegan for 5 years, meaning I do not eat any animal products. And I embrace it. I'm not saying be a vegan or impose that on you, but it might mean, you know what, I'm going to cut out red meat twice a week or once a week. All these things do affect your system. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. There was another question that was sent in by a sister. Let me.
I think I have it somewhere in my phone as well.
Okay.
Um, there was another question.
So if you have any question, maybe you can type it in. Oh, by the way, somebody says she didn't quite get the vitamins that she should get because she's 45.
Okay. All right. So vitamins, the two main vitamins that I talked about for bone health, osteoporosis, is calcium. Now, there are two kinds of calcium. So when you go to buy calcium, know what you're buying. There's calcium carbonate, which you must take with food because it needs the acid in the stomach to be absorbed. There's also calcium citrate. Calcium citrate you can take with or without food. So when you go to a pharmacy to buy calcium, don't just grab any calcium on the counter shelf. Know what you're buying. If you're 50 years old and over, you need a minimum of 1,200 milligrams of calcium a day. If you're 50 years and under, you need a minimum of 1,000 milligrams of calcium a day. Many multivitamins have calcium, but not all of them have the daily supplements that you need. They may have like 500 or less. So you have to start reading labels. With every vitamin you buy, read the label. The other one I talked about was vitamin D3. Vitamin D is in the sun, but you don't get enough from the sun. So we do need supplements. As women, period, we are always deficient in vitamin D. I bet if all of you go for a test tomorrow and find out your vitamin D level, it's going to be low. We're just low. We can't get enough from the sun. So if you're 50 and above, you need anywhere from 800 to 1,000 units. Vitamin D goes by units. If you're 50 and under, you need anywhere from 400 to 800 units. However, if you go for a test, your doctor might tell you, oh, you're really deficient in vitamin D. And I do have some people who are on 5,000 units because they just don't absorb enough vitamin D. And that's what we need for vitamins.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. So there was another question that was asked.
Okay, I have that.
You have it? Okay.
So I'm going to put my phone here because I have to charge it, but I have the questions in my phone. So,
sorry? Somebody's asking a question. Okay.
Let me do this one first.
Okay, just a sec. This question here says, do the vitamins have long-term side effects? I have always believed that every drug or supplement has a side effect. Please help clarity.
That's a very good question. Many drugs do have side effects, but not vitamins. Now, here's what I say about vitamins. And everyone should have, a level test done. It'd be good to know your level. With vitamins, again, you can never get enough from the sun. I explained earlier on about calcium. To get the nutritional value of the calcium you need a day, you will have to eat as much as 6 cups of yogurt and drink as much as 4 8-ounce glasses of milk. For someone like me, as a vegan, I don't even drink milk. I drink almond milk, but there's no way I'm going to drink 4 cups a day. I need a supplement. So in as much as we don't want medication, I don't call supplements medication because they are supplements and we do need them for proper functioning. I call myself sometimes inadequate in my diet because I'm not a breakfast person, for example. Many people are not. For me, I grab a cup of coffee and I'm on the go. Yes, people say breakfast is the best food of the day, but I do not agree with that. Each woman has to know her body. Know your body. When do you perform well? Do you perform well right after breakfast, after lunch? My peak happens to be in the afternoon, not in the morning. I'm at my peak in the afternoon, usually around 11. And that is when I eat something, like I'm working hard. But if you know yourself, you have to study your body. I sometimes keep journals. Actually, I used to keep a lot of journals. I recommend you do keep journals. Ask yourself, okay, between example 7 a.m. and noon, how does my body react to the environment? How do I feel? Do I feel more energetic or less? Between noon and 3, how do I feel? So know yourself. But when it comes to supplements, unless you're eating exactly and you're measuring and say, you know what, I had 2 cups of spinach, that's enough protein, that's enough vitamin C, I do recommend that all women take a supplement, 1 supplement.
Thank you very much. We have another question here, which I also need to hear about. It says, sometimes you go to look for something in one part of the house, and when you get there, for a minute, you forget why you were there and what you came to look for. What is the cause of that, and how does one prevent that from happening?
That is age. It's called age. We go through it, but here's a way to combat that. It's an exercise you can start doing. Take a notepad with you to help your memory. For example, what I do sometimes when I go to places is, we all have phones now. We don't use notepads anymore. You go to places, you got to introduce, meet John, meet Peter, meet Ian, meet Sally. Here's an exercise you do. You got to play a game in your head. You look at Sally and you see something about her, Sally blonde. Look at John, John, black shoes. When you start playing mental exercises with yourself, it helps your memory. People say, take ginkgo bar, take this, ginkgo biloba, or I don't ginkgo. I don't really, I mean, people take it, but I focus more on exercising the brain. Another way to exercise the brain is already with switching hands. If you do it, you see, the mind tends to remember things, and everything of doing things one way, our body and our brain is trained to do things one way. The minute we tweak it and want something different, it reacts. It's like, oh, no, stop. But you have to force it. What I talked about, if you're cooking with your right hand, sometimes cook with your left. Just say, you know what, I've been doing this way, I'm going to try it this way. You got to tweak your brain, you got to force your brain to do things differently. That also helps. So the next time we come, the brain memorizes things. Sometimes we do things by memory. And then the memory sometimes fails us. So you have to alternate things. Another great exercise is crossword puzzle.
Crossword puzzle.
Crossword puzzle book helps you calm down and think. I recommend, sometimes before you go to bed, grab a crossword puzzle book and find those the letters to match the words. Spend 20-30 minutes. You could be frustrated, but say, you know what, me and my crossword puzzle, guess it and take your time. That helps memory.
That's interesting. Someone just asked a question. Would crossword puzzles help?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I think there was another question. Let me see. Was there another question? Okay, no. So as we're preparing to round up, if you have any other questions, please, you can type it in the chat box while she addresses the other questions that were sent in.
Okay. So I got this question this morning, and it said, what routine checks should a woman between 40 and 42 years go for? And how often is this routine? Here's my answer. When a woman has reached the age of 40, there's certain basic tests you should have done. Your basic vital signs. What are the vital signs? There are 5 vital signs. Actually, there's 6. And the 6th one, I'll explain what that is. The 5 basic vital signs are your blood pressure. You must know your blood pressure reading. You must know your temperature reading. You must know your oxygen saturation reading. You must know your heart rate and your respiration. Those 5 basic vital signs you must know. The sixth one is pain. Every woman's threshold to pain is different. For some women, they're in pain, maybe a headache. Once they take something as simple as a glass of water, headache's gone. But for some women, they need something strong like paracetamol, Tylenol. The next thing is this. Every month, try to get this done. Every month. If you're on chronic, like blood pressure medication or something else, then you may get it done frequently because of the medication you're on. But once a month, no, you're reading. Like, what is my blood pressure today? What is this? At least once a month. The other test every woman should have had by age 40 is diabetic screening. You have to know if you're diabetic or not, because usually it's around that age, 40s and up, that most women start putting on weight. Because everything with eating now starts sinking in and it's hard to get rid of. Usually by that age, diabetes sinks in for a lot of women. Mammogram screening is another one. If anyone in your family that you know of or you're at risk, I would say age 35. But normally by age 40, you should have had at least one mammogram screening. Eye exam, whether you use eyeglasses or not. If you use eyeglasses, it's once a year. If you don't, at least by age 40, you should have gone for vision screening to know your vision. Because as we get older, what happens is that objects get thinner. So normally, when a woman could read like this, you're going to find your 40s are doing this. And it's not because your eyes are bad, it's just age. So when you could read like this, close that, you're going to be doing this because everything's getting tinier. And so your vision screen is really important by the time you hit 40. And of course, your pap smear. Usually your doctor would tell you, come once a year, based on your risk factor, come twice a year. Your pelvic exam is extremely important. Your pap is extremely important. And your physical exam. Physical exam is once a year. That's when they check on your strength. Can you lift this up? Can you turn? Can you bend? Physical exam, your doctor will let you know what limitations are and what you can do about them. Many people don't bother with physical because they feel I can do it. But the truth is this, once a year, all of us need a physical exam once a year. The next question is this. What can a woman do to reduce risk of spilling urine on herself? A mother of 5 has given birth within 6 years of single birth. So this happens to a lot of women. First of all, what's the pelvic floor? The pelvic floor muscles, we all have pelvic floor muscles. That is what holds the urine up in the bladder. For some women, when they laugh, when they cough, when they sneeze, when they lift something heavy, urine starts to leak out. Pelvic exercises, also called Kegel exercises, are what strengthen those muscles and hold the urine up and stop them from leaking. How do you perform Kegel? Imagine you want to pee. Imagine you're running to the bathroom and you want to pee. You're not going to pee on yourself, like the whole thing come out. There's the way you hold your sphincter muscles, you hold it. You hold, you let go. That's Kegel exercise. So I recommend Kegel exercise at least 4 times in a day for women who have this problem. 4 times a day for like 5 minutes. All you do is act like you want to pee. You hold that muscle in, you let go. Hold it in, you let go. About 5 minutes. That would strengthen that muscle. So when you laugh or when you cough or when you do other things, urine will not leak out. The other question is, what do we do to regain energy? Or does it deplete when we get to the age of 40? Energy depends on your metabolism. Again, we talked about know yourself, know your body. When you know yourself and your body and your routine, you get energy. One way to increase energy is your exercise. Simple, 15, maybe 30 minutes a day, every other day. That increases your energy level. Reduce your workload. Don't get overwhelmed. The feeling of being overwhelmed depletes your energy, does not add to your energy. Avoid daytime napping. Some people say, oh, I've worked so hard. I got back from work at 4 and I took a nap. The more you nap in the daytime, the more you deplete your energy. The best time to take nap is not nap, it's to sleep at night. You simply go to bed at night, avoid daytime napping, because daytime napping just makes you feel you're getting energy, not. It makes you tired. Avoid daytime napping. Eat for energy. Increase your fibers, your grains, such as green leafy vegetables. Any green leafy vegetables adds to your energy. And of course, always stay hydrated. Between 1 and 1.5 liters of water every day minimum gives you more energy. The last question on this is, what is the limit to fasting, a regular fast? For example, 12 a.m. to 6 p.m. dry fast for 7 to 10 days a month. Is that okay? This topic is very important because it can positively or negatively affect your health. Fasting done well is extremely important for the human body. I fast at least once a month. Think about this. We eat every day. Our organs are constantly working. The liver, your bladder, your kidneys, constantly working, constantly working. When you fast, you give your organs a break. When you fast also, it helps to kill cancerous cells. We all have cells, cancerous and non-cancerous. It only becomes cancer when it gets activated in a disease state, but we all have it. Eating less actually kills and starves cancer cells. But the question is, do we fast for 7 or 10 days? A dry fast? I say no, for health reasons. Know your body. If you're going to fast for 12 hours in a day, stay hydrated. Every 3 hours, drink water, either straight water or juice. Straight water or juice every 3 hours. A dry fast for 24 hours, you must drink water or juice. A dry fast for 3 days, you must drink water or juice. When you want to do a dry 24-hour fast for 7 days, not recommended, because now you have first within 3 days you have built your organs again. Your liver is rebuilding. But when it gets to 7 days, you now get the paradoxical opposite effect, and then damage starts to sit in. You can fast for a month, but not dry fast for a month. You can fast from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. where you only drink water. But from 6 p.m., you break your fast with something light. Fruits, vegetables, go soft on your stomach. Don't break your fast with chicken, meat, beef, ever, because that'll be hard on your organs. So yes, fast, but break it with something light and gentle on your organs. Nothing wrong in dry fast, but 7 days of 24-hour dry fast, not recommended. You could end up in the hospital and could end up with organ failure, which happens.
Wow. This has been very, very enriching. Thank you so much. And I hope, let me see if there's any other question. Oh, the last question here says, what type of mattress is best for the spine?
Okay, it depends on your body. One thing I say is the human spine is erect. So period. Oh, my voice, I'm sorry. The human spine is erect. When you stand up, you're erect. You don't want to stand up curved. A firm mattress.
Firm.
Period. Firm. Some people like soft. A firm mattress is best for the spine. And also, sleep on your back. Sleep on your back is best for your spine, because the spine is not curved. When you sleep and you sleep like this, in the fetus position, you're damaging your spine. As we get older, when we sleep erect on our back, even your side, try not to curve That is best for your spine.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. I really have been tremendously impacted by what you have shared with us today. And I believe that the ladies also have been impacted. It's been very rich. Some things I've taken away, like I shared earlier, that I definitely need to relook at my own routines and work those things. So does anybody have anything you want to say before we close? There's somebody in the chat room. If you want to, yeah, thank you. If you want to say anything, you can unmute and speak before we close this this chat room. Anybody? Okay, somebody is saying something. Okay, people are saying thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
But thank you so much for coming around.
Thank you. I want to say thank you. This is so educative. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, Watchers Wellness, we have this session. We had one last month, and the plan is to have one call like this on a monthly basis. I think next month I need to check my calendar. Is either we're doing something to do with stress, or yeah, I think so. But you'll get the notification. I want to apologize for the very late invitation, but still, for all of you that could join, well done. So thank you very much, Irene. It's been really, really rich. And as usual, I will be sending out the audio to everyone who joined on the on this platform in case you want to go through it again. So thank you. Before we go, I just want to let you know also that Irene has a foundation, which she said earlier on, called Zandarina Foundation. I have been privileged. In fact, all of us, my siblings and a few people, have been privileged to work with her when we go to different communities, predominantly in Nigeria. She used to go to other, like I think South Africa, South America. North America. Guatemala. She used to go there, and then she just felt, why am I doing this when I have my own country to do that with? So she started doing this medical outreach, and we just go with her, and we support in doing our own part. So you can catch her on Instagram and on Facebook. You can look out for Zandarina Foundation on Instagram to see what she does. This year in April, there's going to be a launch.
First gala.
The first gala, yes, the fundraising gala, because everything she does is self-funded. And believe me, it's not because she's having some excess money, it's just a passion that she has. So now, because the work is expanding, there's going to be a gala for fundraising and for creating greater awareness also to the government. So if you are doing something similar, you need counsel, you need somebody to hold your hand who has already gone that way. Irene is really open to talking with you about it. Just remind her that you are from the Watchers or maybe the family Hanessa, and you just wanted to follow up on this discussion. She also has started recently a girls.
Yes, recently, Zandarina Foundation has been in operation since 2018, and that is the medical aspect of the foundation. So we've been going on medical outreaches at least 3 times a year in different communities in Nigeria. In January this year, 2020, we started a new program still under the umbrella. It's called Empower Her. Now, what Empower Her does is that we go to different government secondary schools in Nigeria to teach the young girls about health, hygiene when on their periods, also to educate them about how to take care of themselves. And during this program, we also distribute hygiene products like sanitary pads to them, soap, deodorant, and tell them how to care for themselves. The reason why this program was started was, to my horror, we found out that a lot of girls during their periods in Nigeria do not go to school. They don't go to school for embarrassment, also because perhaps their parents cannot afford sanitary pads for them. And so many girls in these schools are left behind because they're missing almost a week of school. And I was shocked in this day and age. Girls are missing school because they have their period. So we started this program, and it's really for communities where we know it's difficult for them to afford it. And many girls even do go to school, but they have just one pad they're using for the whole day, and then they get embarrassed and they go and hide in the, I mean, you hear what they had to say. And I was just, you know, we're all like, no, this has to stop. And we have to empower our girls to be confident and not look at being on a period as a disability, because it is not a disability.
Wow. Yeah. That's really amazing. Who would have thought that such a thing is happening, like you said, in this day and time? So I want us to just be on board. If you are in Lagos, Nigeria, or anytime we move, I know you've been to Abeokuta,
Ikene.
Yeah, Ikene, different parts of Nigeria. So whenever we're around, you know, you can come in and volunteer. You can request you want to volunteer, and we'll take it from there. And like I said, if you also are planning to do something, everybody should have something they're trying to do for your community. She is a good person to reach out to through Instagram or Facebook, and she will gladly hold your hand. Thank you so much. This has been really, really rich. I'm happy you actually came, because I kept on saying, why do you want to come? Why do you want to do that? You can do that from America. I said, no, I want to come. So I'm really, really happy you came.
Thank you.
Right. At least I get to see my sister. Okay, so
thank you, everyone.
If there's nothing else, I don't think anything else will stop the let me first of all stop my slide share. We're back here. Whoa. Well done, everybody, and thank you so much for joining on the call. So good night and have an amazing Sunday. We had 14 people who joined on the call, and I'm really glad that 15. All right. So God bless you all, and have an amazing night, a beautiful week ahead. God bless you.
Thank you.
You can exit now.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
All right, bye, sisters.
Bye.